Here in the top position of Lightshade for map number 1. Give it up for Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. And his opponent down here in the bottom, he's also repping the Dragons, the Phoenixes, and the Gaming. He is ZEST. And I can tell you right now, this is not going to be an easy game here for Cure. ZEST is a completely different level of good. And you can kind of see Cure saying, you know what, I don't know if I can beat him in a straight up game. So instead, I'm going to pull out the crazy shenanigans early to make sure that I get that little bit of a lead, to make sure that I can stop him from gaining any momentum in this series and throw him off his game. Now, ZEST knows that this is coming. He sees the SCVs being pulled, and he sees no barracks anywhere near that main base. So the alarm bells, they've been ringing since the beginning of the game, but he plays muted because he doesn't like the sounds of battle. You know, it can be quite scary, but the SCV tanking very well. Not going to lose them too quickly here. There is no force fields available for this ramp as the Cybernetics Core only just now finishing. This is going to be a difficult hold for ZEST. He's just got to keep these Zealots alive. He's got to get on top of these Marines. The probes have to be pulled. A good attempt at a surround so far, but the Zealots are getting cleaned up by the SCVs. ZEST not being able to pay attention to that. So now these remaining SCVs are able to buffer for the Marines. Oh, right. Shield batteries exist. Never mind. Now, I like it a little bit better if he just goes for a 2-Rex. My reasoning for that, obviously it lets you get that transition. It's more of a TVZ build, TVZ cheese. But honestly, the fact is, ZEST is going for the Nexus before Cybernetics Core this time. Which means that he's not going to have that faster adept. He's not going to have that extra stalker to help him out. And he's not going to have the vision because he completely goes by it. You know what? This is why you buy monitors with massive amounts of pixels. Because if you don't, you are at risk of this. Missing the most important scout of your English, terrible, never use it, your young Protoss life. And as the first couple of SCVs making their way in, he's going to drop one bunker. I think... Oh my god, that is... That is about as bad as it can get. ZEST not seeing it until it's a little bit too late. Chrono boosting out that one adept. It will get out, but there's already 3 Marines, so you are going to need godlike micro to deal with the bunker. Look at that Cure. He's going to get the kill here. He is going to be able to destroy that Nexus. Back at home, he's got the factory on the way, so he is already on the transition. So this little bit of a cheese for ZEST, not gonna happen. Now the probes being pulled, they gotta do something here. They got to buy time. But now the adepts are getting kind of focus fired down. Cure, I think he should at least keep 1 or 2 Marines back to kill off the Nexus. At least do something, because that's kind of the saving grace here for ZEST, is the fact that he still has that up. He is, granted, he is taking a lot of damage right now. 12 workers dead. But he will have 2 chrono boost abilities available to him to the one mule of a cure. Now that was a little bit bad there, losing the adept, but now the stalkers are going to be able to chase this down. Trying to mitigate some of this damage. There you have it, ZEST just taking a little bit too much damage. GG is called. I kind of like this. After 2 games, you know, Romanticide and, Romanticide and Lightshade are kind of the quintessential cheese maps. They're the easiest ones to kind of make it work. Ooh, getting a little bit low on that probe there. We'll have to retreat that, but pulling off 3 SCVs, kind of a big deal, as that is a bit of energy that it's not going to go towards mining. ZEST. ZEST hands down. But for the YouTube channel, chat is asking who would win in an MMA fight. But the Reaper is going to be making its way across the map, just getting a little bit of extra information. 2000 atmospheres is a bit of a bigger map, so you do have to be a little bit more vigilant on your scouting. Otherwise, you're going to get completely blindsided by the blind sides of this map. And we do see the Adept going to be able to shoo that away. This is kind of one of the problems with the Reaper. You know, this is kind of why a lot of Terran players have just decided to kind of say, you know what? I don't need the Reaper. I just need the Marine. Get the reactor down pretty quickly back at home and have enough to defend any sort of early pressure. Now, Cure is going for the Hellion behind this. Only one of them so far, so it's more of a safety measure before he goes into Widow Mines, preparing for those drops. As the Stargate Oracle Adept timing is going to be moving across once the third Adept comes out, once that Oracle comes into play. You know what? There used to be a guy called, I think he went by the term Blink. And if you're talking about an absolute unit of a nerd, he was pretty. Imagine Henry Cavill, but bigger. And he used to show up at Home Story Cup, just like this Oracle is showing up to the party, getting a couple of SCVs and getting out of there with some big scratches on the paint. As the Phoenix play is going to be the choice here for ZEST, keeping him safe against the Widow Mines. Now, this puts an interesting decision here for ZEST. Do you decide to kind of stick with the Phoenix play? I think right now he's kind of just decided, yeah, I've already invested into it, so I might as well make about 5 to 6, send them across the map, look for a little bit of damage here and there while getting that Twilight Council up, while getting those upgrades with the Forge. But, you know, there is kind of a little thing here. If you're going to commit to that, then you better have a good, fast transition. Because if Cure decides to go for an attack right now, what do you have? You have 4 Phoenix. Which, fine. There's 13 Marines out on the map. And you cannot lift fast enough to deal with 13 Marines who are going to have stim in about a minute and a half. You know what? I am sure Lenok has lost weight. If he went to his military service, You know, they do not feed you well in the military. I know that much. Now ZEST, he started charge. We got Charge Lot Archon on the way, trying to take advantage of the fact that Cure is going for a very heavy marine-based army. Oh, a hidden Widow Mine does get a good connection, but there is no follow-up to it, so the Phoenix will live to fight another day. Now, a little bit too late to get that follow-up. Cure going to be moving across the map with a decent army. A lot of ZEST army supply is in those Phoenix, however. So, the supplies can be a little bit misleading. And you know what? No matter what, Cure is getting great damage down here. We do see some gateways going down in the top, but the Phoenix doing what they can to get rid of those Widow Mines. He is going to trade out quite a few of them in order to make that work. The Zealot's going to do what they can to push this back, and they will be able to kind of whittle this down a little bit. But the follow-up army now is on its way. The parade has started, and these Marauders are the main event. I like the thought there. He was trying to bait the Widow Mines into killing off his own forces, but it just didn't work, and now ZEST down 20 supply. He is desperately trying to warp in. He needs Archons. He needs Zealots in high enough numbers. But Cure is just going to say, you know what? I don't need to kill you here. I don't need to throw away this army. I just need to watch you suffer on two bases. And ZEST kind of feeling the pressure there as well, as you kind of see him trying to poke out a little bit just to make sure that Cure does go all the way home. Keep in mind, however, that on 2000 Atmosphere, there are so many big choke points on this map. The big one in the middle is a big point of contention as well, because if ZEST decides to go for Storms, he's going to want to fight around that all dang day. And you know, he does have a pretty decent army supply here. He's going to wait until Cure moves out. Cure wasting a little bit of time on these rocks as well. Gonna give ZEST the opportunity to strike the supply depot wall. Not gonna be complete. A little bit of bad AI pathing there. But this has done its job. It is forcing Cure to come home, and it is getting rid of some of those SCVs to make up for the lack of a third. Couple of good Widow Mine connections. And not really helping out the Archons on top of SCVs. Absolutely shredding through here. Oh my god, that was about the riskiest pickup you could do, but it works out in the end. He gets back into his own main base. But 27 workers have gone down. The big question is, at what cost, Kylaris? So now ZEST still with that total supply lead. Taking a look at these fights, it is slightly in ZEST's favor, but every single time, if he can get damage like that, he's going to be a very happy boy. And yeah, once again, Cure is going to be caught completely out of position as the side blades have been lit. Now Cure just has to make that decisive decision. He's going for it. We are in a little bit of a base trade, but not a full-on base trade. Now ZEST will lose quite a few of his probes here, but he does have that recall available to him. I think Cure just has to get rid of that, because there are no probes out on the map, I believe. Cure, though, doesn't have any SCVs to follow it up. Did I play the same game? I am not sure. Cure is just... I mean, Looks like it's gonna work for him here. ZEST didn't really have a ton. And I can tell you right now, we have count ZEST out far too many times tonight, and I am certainly not gonna do it right now versus a player that I'm sure he has a lot of experience playing against. And it's always coming down to that little bit of a team factor as well. Just the fact that, hey, this is the guy I call when I want to make something work. He knows my style. He knows kind of how to counter me. And from a standpoint of a practice, that can actually be a really good thing because it forces you to think outside the box when you're going for these crazy strategies. Also, I love this move. CURE right now hasn't really gotten a full scout as to what's going on. Let me just make sure. Yeah, he hasn't seen the pylon going down here, so what he's seen is that there is only one pylon available. Now, as a Terran player, when you see that, you say proxy. And you send this Reaper absolutely everywhere looking for it. But with that positioning, that Reaper is not going to go anywhere near it. So the mind games just coming into play in full force right now. If this was a big proxy as well, I would feel so bad for CURE because he is going for pretty much the greediest build that a Terran player can do. He's got 3 CC before his factory is even done. And do you know why his factory's not done? Because he's getting more racks. Now, if ZEST scouts this out, if ZEST sees that it's 3 CC into 3 racks, he is just going to get rid of this Stargate play because it's not really the full-on counter. Instead, you want to go for the Twilight Council. He's got that ready to go. The Adepts are going to take a little bit too much of a hit here. 2 SCVs getting killed by the pole. The Oracle going to get a little bit more damage though, as the Marine count has been stifled just a little bit. Having to ration them out to defend both mineral lines. That's just barely getting out of there. But that Oracle is not going to be going anywhere for a long time. CURE won the King of Battles in Alpha X premiere event. I hope we get to do something else like that. That was absolutely incredible. But now, yeah, this is the perfect response out of ZEST. Going up to Blink because he knows that Marauder count isn't really going to be there. There's no supporting units. There's no factory up. So these Stalkers are going to do wonders for his self-esteem and for the pickoffs. You can kind of even see he's just saying to heck with it. More gateways, more damage, more deaths. Let's get it started. In about a minute or so, when this push starts to come in. But yeah, one big thing to note about this is there are a couple of soft timers for when this works and when this stops working. Stim is the first one, because that allows a little bit of extra damage and a little bit more maneuverability for these Marines. It is a little bit of a double-edged spear because the medevac's obviously not going to be out. But siege tanks are the second one. And CURE is not going to build any siege tanks right now because he wants to focus fully on medevac production to heal up. And you can see that first big stim is like, it was decent, but now the SCV's being pulled, the Marauders in the back doing what they can. 18 workers going down, and while he would clean this up, ZEST is just desperately trying to keep that high ground vision, and that might actually be costing him a little bit. But at the end of the day, he has done what he needs to do to close this one out and tie up this series. A big drop on the other side of the map, though. CURE is just doing anything he can to stifle a follow-up. You know what? I actually thought that ZEST did it, and he still might do it here. A very low economy game, but he doesn't have any economy back at home. He was forced to warp in defensively, and CURE is starting to build up a good number of units with the medevac coming in as well. He might have held. Just barely, but might have held. You know? Mules are good. Okay, I gotta see this income graph before this fight. It is actually fully even. He is focus firing down that bunker because he knows he's got to deal with the Marauders inside. Getting the medevac is a pretty huge pickup. There's not really a lot left for ZEST in the tank. He doesn't have the economy to keep this going, but he is all in. He will not be building a Nexus. He will not be building anything but Stalkers. And versus the new army of CURE, it is not going to be enough. GG.